And then they were told over and over again by the district attorney, by the Department of Justice, that the government would do its job. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and nothing happened. And as all this stretched on, it reinforced the suspicion, as one felt by millions, that justice doesn't exist for people who look like Eric Garner. Today, we finally saw a step towards justice and accountability. We saw a process that was actually fair and impartial. And I hope that this will now bring the Garner family a sense of closure and the beginning of some peace. But full justice means that there can never be another tragedy like the one that befell Eric Garner. Full justice is when we never have another death. That is all of our responsibility, and it requires us to change everything. For the last 5 years, our mission has been to fundamentally change the nature of policing in New York City. After the death of Eric Garner, everything was reevaluated. The entire police force was retrained, 36,000 officers retrained to de-escalate conflict, to understand the implicit bias that we all carry with us, to ensure it would not interfere with their duty. The approach to the community is entirely different today. And we had to weed out the distance and the separation that was the norm of the past. And through neighborhood policing, actually create a dynamic where our officers and community members got to know each other as human beings, where people felt they were on the same side working toward a common goal. And we had to change the approach on the ground. Last year, there were 150,000 fewer arrests than 5 years earlier because there were too many times when people were being arrested unnecessarily and too many conflicts that came from it. And this NYPD proved that fewer and fewer people could be arrested and the city could become safer. Safety and fairness must walk hand in hand. And I hoped that today begins the process of restoring some faith and helping people believe that there actually is accountability and fairness. We have a lot more work to do. We'll be at this a long time, but we all have a sense of common mission. There can never be another tragedy like this. This city, this nation should never be put through this agony. We should never lose another innocent man or woman. We should never have people's faith undermined. It's in our power to do something better and to do something different. That is the course we set 5 years ago, and that's the course we will stay on. A few words in Spanish. Hoy, finalmente, vimos un paso hacia la aplicación de justicia. Espero que esta decisión le dé a la familia Garner una sensación de cierre. Trabajaremos para asegurarnos que algo como esto nunca vuelva a suceder. I'm going to take a few questions now, but I want to say up front, and I want to remind everyone, this is an ongoing legal matter. So there's very little I can add to my statement, but I do want to take a few questions. Yes?
Mayor, who specifically in the Justice Department told New York City to hold on? Can you name the name?
We'll get you the history, multiple conversations.
Personally read Judge Maldonado's recommendation, and do you agree that he should be fired?
Again, what I'm talking about today is a fair and impartial process has occurred. That's all I have to say.
Have you read
No, I have not.
Al Sharpton said today that after the decision is rendered, he also wants to go a step further and call for new laws in Congress and congressional hearings. Do you support that, and what kind of law change are you looking?
Look, I haven't heard what he said today. I know members of Congress want to look at this issue. I certainly think it's fair to say, here was a tragedy, it cannot happen again. And what I would ask the members of Congress to look at is the role of the Justice Department going forward. Remember, and I said it earlier on the radio, we had 3 horrifying cases that we all remember too well. The Louima case, the Bell case, and the Diallo case. In every one of them, there was prosecution either by the Justice Department or the district attorney. What's happened these last 5 years is unfathomable. There was no decision even from the Justice Department. That's a central question to me, Marcia. That can't happen again in the future. There has to be a decision on a meaningful timeline.
What do you want Congress to do when they look at the Justice Department?
They have to, I think they have to beg this very important question. Justice Department has to ensure speedy justice. It's right there in the Constitution. There can't be a process that goes on 5 years ever again.
The Garner family and what has been their response?
I'm not going to go into private conversations today. As I said, it's a legal matter.
Mayor, you said that today there's finally been a step towards justice and accountability. Does that mean that you believe that the ruling that was made today was just?
Again, I believe the process was fair and impartial. And it's the first time we've seen a decision. I want to remind everyone, over 5 years, district attorney did not bring an indictment, therefore there was no trial. Justice Department did not bring an indictment, therefore there was no trial. For the first time, there was a trial, a fair and impartial trial, and a result. Remember that point about justice delayed is justice denied, that at least there was a trial and a result, and I have faith that it was a fair and impartial process.
You said on the radio this morning that, policies have been put in place to never wait on the Justice Department again. Do you regret waiting on the Justice Department and not going ahead with the departmental trial in 2015?
Absolutely. I cannot understand how this happened. Everything I had seen my entire life suggested the Justice Department believed it was its responsibility to act when other levels of government had not, or at least to make a decision quickly for the benefit of justice. It's literally beyond any compare. I cannot find any parallel to what happened here, and it's an unacceptable reality. I did not think it possible, honestly. I didn't think it was possible under either administration federally. But now that we've experienced it, we will never allow that to happen again. Gloria.
Mayor, we understand that the police commissioner is going to make a final call here, but have you spoken to him about the judge's recommendation? And why aren't you saying what your personal opinion is, now that we have this recommendation from the judge, what you personally believe should happen to this officer now?
I have not spoken to him, and that is because I respect this process. And I want everyone to understand this. If you believe that there's a fair and impartial process, and I do, then letting it reach its conclusion beyond reproach, beyond question, is necessary. And I am talking as the steward of this city. We need closure in this city. The Garner family deserves it first and foremost, but we as a city need to end this chapter and move forward. I believe my role is to respect this process and respect the state law, and that's the best way to get to that closure. Jeff?
Did you even investigate whether you have the power to fire Officer Pantaleo?
Absolutely, and the state law is abundantly clear. There has to be due process, and I emphasize to everyone that is an American value. Everyone in this room should value due process. The problem here is that we listened to the United States Justice Department under 2 different administrations, and we respected their demand that we hold back. But once it was clear they were not acting, and we moved forward, we are governed by state law, and that's what the process has been. Due process, a trial, a decision by a judge, a final decision by the police commissioner. Yes.
Mr. Carr recently died, and so did Eric Garner about a year and a half ago. And some people have said that Eric Garner died from the stress related to fighting for justice for her father. Can you speak a little bit about the family members of his who are no longer here to even see a conclusion to this?
It's very painful that this family's been put through hell. And part of why I'm reminding all New Yorkers of these previous horrible situations is to make clear how wrong this was. It's bad enough that an innocent man died. We all saw it, we all felt it. But when we think about the other instances that this whole city felt, we all remember the Diallo case, we all remember the Louima case, the Bell case. Justice proceeded. You could agree or disagree with any element of what happened, but there was a trial. The notion that 5 years passed without a trial and that the place that had been the ultimate dispenser of justice failed to act in any way, shape, or form is unfathomable. And to your point, that family members died in the meantime and never got to see any closure is extremely painful, and we cannot let that happen again to another family.
So to what extent do you believe this is also a result of the immense public pressure that your administration and other parts of government were placed under? Would we be here without all the activism and people that spoke out over the last 5 years?
I respect everyone who has spoken out in their pain, in their outrage, and that's what I was saying in the beginning. I think so many people feared that we had not moved forward as a city or as a society, that injustice was simply going to happen with no result. And I appreciate why people felt that, and it cannot be. We can't move forward as a city, we can't move forward as a nation if people wonder if there's going to be any justice at all. So what was abundantly clear to me was once a fair and impartial process occurred, it would change everything that people were feeling to see an actual process. And that changes the entire discussion. That there's finally been a trial, that there's actually been a decision, and it is a fair and impartial process. Again, this is only a beginning of restoring people's faith. But this is the kind of thing that needed to happen a long time ago, an actual justice process, and now it has happened. Thank you, everyone.